Okay. In the swinging 60s, what is the swinging 60s? That was when the disco dance, rock and roll, all that started. When casinos opened in Britain, what is casinos? These dancing clubs. Now it is, I don't know whether it is there in Kerala, I don't know, in Bangalore and all, there are places, pubs. That is somewhat casinos, but here casinos means that roulettes, that card play, roulette betting, the money, keeping money and getting that is there. Young Alex was convinced that he had found the ideal way of earning a living without actually doing any work. He didn't want to work. He developed a system of playing roulette with which it was impossible to lose. Underline playing roulette. It was impossible to lose. He thought, okay, if I play in this way, I will not lose. But what happened? He did lose. Underline, he did lose. So he refined the system and promptly lost more. He refined the system of playing and he lost more. The £1,000 loss became £2,000 loss and resulted in having to borrow to cover his losses. He borrowed from Shylock like people. Why not? If the worst came to the worst, he told himself he could always dispose of the little Ming emperor. I have a very expensive emperor there, I will sell it off. That was his decision. The worst did come to the worst, as each one of Alex's newly refined systems took him progressively into greater debt. He played for little debt, he went into greater debt. That is, £8,000, the pounds began increasing. Alex went finally on Monday morning and until the casinos began to press him for payment. Paisa tharada kalikkan pattathilla ponnu mone, casino said. One Monday morning, Alex received an unexpected call from two gentlemen who seemed determined to collect the £8,000 he owed his masters and hinted at bodily harm. If the matter was not dealt within 14 days. So the number of days he gets is 14 days. Underline unsolicited call, and before that refined systems took him progressively into greater debt. Underline an unsolicited call. Underline determined to collect £8,000. Underline hinted at bodily harm if the matter was not dealt within 14 days. Gundagalu vannu karyam vashalai. Alex gave in. After all, his great-great-grandfather's instructions had been exact. The Ming statue was to be sold if the family honor was ever at stake. Family honor, family man's life is at stake. So it has to be sold. Alex took the little emperor off the mantelpiece in his Cardigan Gardens flat and stared down at its delicate handiwork, at least having the grace to feel a little sad at the loss of the family heirloom. He then drove to the Bond Street and delivered the masterpiece to Sotheby's. So, Alex and Avadayana, Sotheby's. That should come there, the location. So, journey of the Chinese statue. From where to where it came. You will get from that column. And giving instructions that the emperor should be put up for auction. The head of the Oriental Department, the Asian countries, the head of the Asian dealing with the matters of Asian countries, a pale, thin man appeared at the front desk to discuss the masterpiece with Alex, looking not unlike the Ming statue he was holding so lovingly in his hands. That is, he was a Chinese man. But he was not at all like the Chinese, Emperor Kang that he was holding in his hand. It will take a few days to estimate the true value of the piece. He purred. You know, the Chinese people, they don't show their teeth much. Lips also won't move. So that is why the author says he purred, the way they talk. But I feel confident. A cursory glance at the statue is a fine example of Penq. The man said, the Chinese said, it looks like a Penq statue as we have ever had under Hama. So he is giving a hint to Alex that it is a very expensive one. That's no problem, replied Alex, as long as you can let me know what it's worth within 14 days. Within 14 days, you must let me know how much it is worth. Oh, certainly, replied the expert. I feel sure, I feel sure that I could give you a floor price by Friday. What is floor price? The minimum price that can be given for this. That is a price that they put out for auction. Then the bidders give higher price. That I will give by Friday. Couldn't be better, said Alex. During that week, he contacted all his creditors, all the people from whom he had borrowed, and without exception, they were prepared to wait and learn the appraisal of the expert. Friday, I will tell you the exact date when you will get the money. Alex duly returned to Bond Street on Friday with a large smile on his face. He knew that his great-great-grandfather had paid for the piece and felt sure, underline that, felt sure that the statue must be worth more than £10,000. So he is expecting £10,000 for the statue. A sum that would not only yield him enough to cover all his debts, but leave him a little over to try out his new refined system on the roulette table. Again, also, he was not planning to work. He was again going in for roulette. As he climbed the steps of Sotheby's, Alex silently thanked his great-great-grandfather. He asked the girl on reception if he could speak to the head of the Oriental department. She picked up an internal phone and the expert appeared a few moments later at the front desk and a somber look on his face, serious look on his face. Alex's heart sank as he listened to his words. A nice little piece, your emperor, but unfortunately a fake. Probably about 250 years old. But only a copy of the original, I'm afraid. Copies were often made because... Alex was disappointed. It is a fake. It is a copy. How much is it worth? Interrupted and anxious Alice. £700, 800 at the most. Enough to buy a gun with some bullets, thought Alex, sardonically as he turned and started to walk away. Okay, what will I do with such a small amount? I'll buy a gun, buy bullets, shoot myself and commit suicide. That is the only option for me now. I wonder, sir, continued the expert. Yes, sell the bloody thing, said Alex without bothering to look back. And what do you want me to do with the base? The base? Repeated Alex, turning round to face the Orientalist. Yes, the base. It's quite magnificent. 15th century, undoubtedly a work of genius. How can imagine how? That means he gave the impression to Alex that the base was an expensive piece. Coming back to the auction, lot number 103 announced the auctioneer, what am I bid for this magnificent example of? The expert turned out to be right in his assessment. At the auction at Sotheby's that Thursday morning, I obtained the little emperor for 720 guineas. And the base, that was acquired by an American gentleman of not unknown parentage for 22,000 guineas. So it proved out to be an expensive one. It really served Alex. All his debts were cleared. He got enough to clear all his debts. Now, did Sir Alexander Heathcote overpay youngly? Did the Chinese statue save the honor of Alexander Heathcote's family? What is the theme of the lesson? Think of all those things when you try to complete the analysis of the lesson. Okay. Now we will have live class.